The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, I don't know. We were live for a second. I know it's been a while since we've been live. So, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
and I'm CJ. Did you almost say Swindle City Straight Talk?
Swineville.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know the great part about it is we are finally back live, and our viewers won't have to call us and complain that we're not on live anymore. And I'll tell you, it has been one hell of a week here in Fall River.
Ooh, has it been? My teeth was. I just brushed my teeth, so I just got through eating.
Well, you know, it's interesting because we started with trash, and then all of a sudden yesterday, a parent came out and started complaining that her child has been abused or beaten or restrained at the door in school. And I'm like, this is happening again. What is Fall River coming to? And then, of course, we had, today we've kicked off new programs here at South Coast Media and FRC Media with Amigos, which is a Portuguese program. I jokingly said, oh, good, we're going back to Portuguese around us. Remember that old show from Channel 6?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And that was a very good show, and it's about jobs available in Fall River, and it's with the Career Center. But I think one of
you can't have that show anymore because there's no jobs available.
But I think one of the interesting things is that we have two commentaries by our guest commentator every so often, and also the host of Neighborhood News and now Amigos, in regards to, one, the city council's opinion that the people shouldn't clap or show any enthusiasm in the city council chamber. And he tried to remind them in his commentary that, you know what, it's the people's house. And they're not being disrespectful, and I can agree with that. But I think the most touching of the commentaries was the one that he gave on whether or not he should even consider staying in Fall River, because he's voicing the opinion of many people in Fall River. So I ask that all you who are watching today to please look for Spindle City's commentary, and please watch both of those. They will be airing shortly. And let's get right on to the door in school.
Yeah, but wait, one sec.
Okay.
Don't forget, tell our viewers that we are doing, at the completion of this live show, we are doing a half-an-hour special show just on the privatization and the entire cycle of this never-ending battle about trash.
Yes, well, we're calling the special Union Busting.
A very appropriate name, yes, union busting.
But we're calling it Union Busting, the Trash Special, and it will be aired throughout the rest of the month on Channel 95, and it will also be aired on YouTube and Facebook regularly. And this should be a very interesting special. It's going to be a timely special, and it's going to be some real, I'm sure, heated debate, because we are going to have our guest commentator, I hope, to come in and also argue some of the points, either pro or con. I don't know what his position is going to be. But I'll tell you now, when he's sitting on the side of Chip Camara, the gloves come off. So, we're here, we're bringing you the news, and I'll tell you now, it's never ending, and we're having a great time doing it, and we know you're having a great time because your calls keep coming in, and I can't believe the amount of tips we've gotten since the trash announcement. But moving on to the door in school, a woman is saying that her nephew, I was told by my daughter that my nephew has been being restrained by his teacher at the door in school. A fellow classmate who she is friends with told her that my nephew has been lifted off the ground by his arms, and he had his arms twisted behind his back. My sister asked my nephew, and he confirmed it. He's 8 years old and special needs. He does have difficulty sometimes staying seated, but does that make it okay? There are times when he can't follow directions, but if she is in special needs teacher, shouldn't she know how to deal with that behavior? She's going to the school first thing tomorrow morning. She's expressed her fear. The student has expressed his fear of going to school before, but wouldn't say why. What else can she do? I'm shocked and disgusted. My recommendations to this individual, and you can read it, was to contact the Fall River Police Department in the morning and file a complaint also with the increasing number of child assaults, maybe with DCF, which is Department of Child and Families, formerly known as DSS. And they should get involved. I also recommended that she get a lawyer. You know, no child is able to do this. Now, I contacted a school committee person last night after this message was posted, and it was posted probably about 12 hours ago, and I explained the entire situation to them. Their recommendation was that they contact the Fall River Police Department, they contact the school, and they contact DCF. Even our school committee people are saying contact DCF.
Well, I think it's, whenever there's any question, I think it's mandatory that they do. Secondly, these are allegations. Let's
make that very clear. Yep.
I mean, but we're talking about, we're not, I'm not going to condemn this individual before the evidence is in.
Correct.
However, this has become epidemic in the United States. Ironically enough, just I think yesterday or the day before, when I was watching the national news, they had a film of a police officer slamming a 8 or 9-year-old on her face, and and he was fired from his position. Look, I understand.
We had that happen in Rhode Island a couple of months ago.
It's happening a lot, and I'm not. And I know, and some of these children with special needs, although special needs children are sometimes difficult to control because, they do tend to have, some of them have behavioral problems, but that's not an excuse. The fact is, I don't know, I think one of the first answers is, do these people have training? I mean, and I trained people in self-defense. I own karate. I had a karate school many years ago, and I taught self-defense to law enforcement people and gave classes. And I know how difficult it is. It's actually more difficult to restrain someone than it is to knock them out or taser them. So that's one of the problems. It's not as easy as people think to restrain someone. When you see police grappling with somebody and having a very difficult time handcuffing them, it's extremely difficult to restrain someone without doing some kind of damage. In the old days, they used to choke them, and now look what happened in New York. We had a death because of a chokehold. But the fact is, something has to be done. I mean, these are children. Adore in school. How old was this child?
8 years old.
8 years old. So, I mean, an 8-year-old dealing with an adult, even though it may be a little bit more difficult, I don't really believe you have to do something that could conceivably injure them. There are ways to do it. There are professionals who give classes. The police are taught restraining techniques. Corrections officers are and I know you worked in corrections.
Yes, I did.
They're taught how to restrain people without doing the minimum amount of damage. But the problem is that this is an issue in today's society that we're having a lot of problems with, it seems, not only in Fall River, but all over the country. So what I'm looking for in this situation is a thorough investigation. Well, and I'm not being facetious.
I know you're not.
I would really like to see this thing really well investigated. And if the person's not guilty of this, that's fine. But the fact is, the fact that these things happen, that there's necessities for physical restraining of students, and it's happening so often, it shows another problem in the system. Is it the behavioral problems? I don't know whether it's they get some of them may be able to act out at home without being disciplined. I don't know. In the old days, nobody acted out. I remember when I was in the 3rd grade, the teacher took me in the coat room and beat me up with the pointer. Actually, she used a couple of pointers, but not that I was a behavior problem.
No, not at all.
Me. But, you know, corporal punishment is a thing of the past, but it's a problem throughout the society, and we have to really look at every single allegation, thoroughly investigate them, and we really have to come up with some solutions, not only on the behavioral side to try to control classrooms better psychologically, but also I truly believe that these teachers need to take, you know, a course in how to restrain people without creating serious injuries, you know, and even with those courses, sometimes, unfortunately, it deteriorates to the point where you have to do something that will hurt someone, but in order to restrain them. You know that, I know that. You were in corrections, you know, and I know that. But the fact is that this is serious stuff. Nobody's making light of this. And this is not like an isolated problem anymore. This is something that's happening, not only, like I said, all over the country, and it's happening a lot. It's not like it happens once every 2 or 3 years we read about this. We've seen restraints and school children, you know, time and time again.
They are increasing across the country. But I mean, here in Fall River, we've had 2 now in what, 2 months?
Yeah.
And we have to ask ourselves why. And as you said, Chip, I did work in corrections, and we were taught how to restrain our inmates. I also worked in psych, and I worked at Taunton State Hospital and some very prestigious psych facilities, and we had to learn how to restrain there as well. And restraint is a last-ditch effort. You don't use restraints as a means of punishment. You use restraints to maintain safety of the individual involved and to protect them and the people surrounding them. So, I mean, if this child was flailing and swinging baseball bats or whatever, maybe they had to find a way in the most expedient way to stop the potential violence or injury. But with an 8-year-old child, what was he swinging? You know, a yardstick, a ruler? You know, we don't know. And we don't know the details of this situation. So I just think that, as you said, it requires very thorough investigation. And maybe if the school committee is watching, hello, maybe you can institute a policy of training your special education instructors, all your teachers, that they get properly trained on the proper use of force. And that's exactly what its termination is. It's called the proper use of force.
Yeah, and it has to be, it has to be, by law, just enough force to deter the danger.
That's right.
You know, you can't, it's like if you get into an altercation, you're only allowed to use as much force as is necessary to deter the attack. Because someone, you know, because someone attempts to punch you, you don't knock them out, then sit there and punch them until their head turns to pudding.
You mean you can't shoot them either, right?
Yeah, you can't shoot them, and you know, well, you can, but but you're going to get prosecuted. I mean, especially in the state of Massachusetts, where they have the, you know, if somebody invades your house, you're supposed to jump out the window.
Right.
You know, you're not supposed to shoot them or anything. But it's a reality. But we're kind of looking at the lighter side. But you know, this is a serious issue, and I think that talking about the school committee, I think that they should actually institute a policy and a standard operating procedure for investigations of these incidents. It shouldn't be, well, okay, this is the way we're going to do this investigation. This is the way we're going to do the next investigation. I think there should be a standard procedure put in place by the school department to investigate any complaint about physical abuse, whether it's an attempt to restrain or fighting. I think there should be a policy where there's due process, but everybody gets to be heard, and they make every attempt to get to the bottom line. And you know, the fact is that, I mean, it's difficult because, I mean, I don't know, 8-year-old children and 5-year-old children, you know, I think with the right training, most, and I'm not saying all, because there are some big 8-year-olds, I guess, but most people can go down to the kindergarten, and no kindergarten child or first grader is going to overpower an adult, especially if he knows how to restrain them. And I think that proper training is really a big factor. They should begin to give these things, and I think, and I've always thought that it's a good idea to train all teachers in that, because in the event that they're assaulted. As a matter of fact, at one time I gave free lessons in a few communities for self-defense for women in the community, and the fact is that I think it's a necessary part, unfortunately, in today's society. And I think teachers, with the amount of aggression that we see in today's society, that wasn't there 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, when if you got home and you told your father that the teacher hit you with a pointer, that you'd get another foot in your derriere, you'd get another beat, and he'd pull his strap out. So it's different today, and we all know that it's a different world today, and children are more aggressive and belligerent toward adults for the most part. You see a lot, years ago it used, respect your elders was something you were taught. Today it's like you're an equal, you're a mini adult, and and we have a lot more cases of that. And whether you agree or disagree, that's, with that type of child rearing, it's a fact of life. I see kids all the time coming home from middle school, and they walk right by my house, and I see the behaviors, and I see them sometimes in altercations, and I've seen them, I've seen it, and you see it in supermarkets and everywhere. You see children being extremely belligerent, and it's just a fact of life. So I think that it would behoove everyone in the school department to consider possibly giving these kind of a little bit of training, because it could save someone a serious injury, and in fact, it actually could save a life.
Yeah, and Chip, you're right, and I'm going to look forward to that. But you brought up something that I've been a very big advocate of for a long time, and that's citizen review boards, okay, where citizens are involved in these entire review process. I don't think we should create a board of just citizens that look over the police, the fire, the teachers, the politicians, but I think that they need to include citizens, people who have no vested interests, to look at these issues and to make an opinion. Sometimes it may be a dissenting opinion. Sometimes it may be the only dissenting opinion. But you know what? It's an opinion, and that's fine. But when the people aren't involved in these investigations, it always reeks of cover-up and, a finding of no finding. That's Fall River's new motto, a finding of no finding. So it always makes me laugh. But,
no, but you're right, CJ, and I believe that there should be a civilian or so and part of the board, and maybe most of the time they might be a dissenting opinion, because in situations like this, look, no one knows how difficult it is to be in a life or death situation in a police matter than police officers.
That's right.
And it's hard for a civilian to put themselves in that position and think about that situation that requires instantaneous decisions and under tremendous pressure, maybe in a life or death situation. And I know it from the perspective of being a firefighter. No one has any conception of what it's like to stand in front of a building at 3 o'clock in the morning and have people hanging out windows and screaming, and everybody in the neighborhood running around, and it's a difficult situation, and things happen. I mean, this is it. And then when you review those things, you're reviewing them in a very calm situation. You're sitting around and you're looking at reports, but you weren't there in the heat of the moment. You didn't have that factor that a decision you make at that moment could cost you your life or someone else their life, and sometimes that factor isn't appreciated. But you know me, I always love dissenting opinions, and I think that outside opinion, even though it may not be, he or she may not understand that, but looking at that view from somebody else's eyes that dissents also can help you change a little bit of your policies too, because now you realize how what you do looks to other people.
Exactly.
And then you can explain it, and then if there is something that can be tweaked, that outside dissenting opinion, as we always say on this show, when they always say, you guys are always negative. We're not negative. We're just giving you our view, our opposing opinion. And sometimes when two opposite opinions, neither of them are 100% correct, we come up with that antithesis, which is a really the best solution. And, you know, I'm all for that. I'm all for having some civilians on review boards just to bring in that other perspective of how the public looks at what you do.
I agree. We're going to briefly, for the remaining part of the show, touch on your liability. No, we're not.
You really wanted to get my blood pressure up.
Well, I got to. The next show starts taping it a little bit. But, you know, the new trash policy. The mayor announced it yesterday. He has privatized trash. The new company is Easy Disposal out of Revere, Massachusetts. Now, I've already come out and said that the devil is in the details. It's $3.3 million a year for 10 years. This is a 10-year contract. Why we're doing 10 years, I have no idea. We haven't learned.
That's so we can never get out of it.
Right, and we've never learned. Look at all the contracts we signed that we can't get out of because they do them for 10 years.
And we're also doing it with a line item that's blank.
Exactly.
I want to know how we're going to do that in the budget process, because incidental line was blank. And she said, well, we'll fill that in later.
We'll fill it in
really?
later, yeah.
Is the city going to give me a blank check? Jazel, send me a blank check. I promise I won't make it 7 figures.
But, you know, the thing is, it's $3.3 million with 2.5% increase every year under CPI, Consumer Price Index. But here's the detail that the mayor conveniently left out. Conveniently. That only covers labor.
What 7.5? Why did they come up with a 7.5? Which CPA? They have a Northeast Consumer Price Index. They have a National Consumer Price Index. They have all kinds of CPAs.
Yep.
And the CPA, what are they going to do? Pick the one with the biggest number?
Well, no, it's capped at 2.5% a year.
Yeah, but still,
I know.
suppose the CPA, the Northeast Consumer CPA is 1.2.
We go up 2.5. But the thing is this. When you're looking at this, and he's saying this is a savings of $8 million over 10 years, I have a problem with that. Here we go, math. Uh-oh, I'm saying the swear word.
BS alert.
Yep, I'm saying this, the 4-letter swear word, math. 1.78 million times 10 years is how much?
1.7 million.
1.78 million.
Times 10 years?
Times 10 years.
Is 17 million.
17.8 million, right?
17.8 million.
Rough
Just
math.
add a zero.
Yeah, rough
and
math.
move the decimal point.
Right,
You know,
rough
it's
math.
nice and easy.
But they're coming up with a 10-year savings of $8 million.
Well, look, we all know how they do math in Fall River. You know, we all know, and I don't know where they're coming up with that savings, because they're paying the dumping fees.
That's right.
And is that factored in?
No.
Is the fact that and they're paying for labor?
They're just paying for labor.
Labor. So you're going to have to, you know, to me that means that you're paying for their employees.
That's right.
So now we got a company that we're bad enough we give people tips. We're selling them the trucks at a discount, and we're paying all their employees.
Right.
Oh, this is beautiful. I mean, oh God, no. And then no wonder Kenny Fialdo said, people are looking to come to Fall River. No kidding. If I'm a businessman, tell me that you're going to not charge me any taxes and pay all my employees, and I'll be here in a minute, because all I got to do is make $1.80, and it's all profit.
It's all profit, exactly. Well, the kicker is this. With this outrolling of the privatization, which, by the way, you and I will get into in our special
in depth
in union busting, because I'm sure you have 150E stuff coming out of your backside. Yep, there it is. He is now ordered intensive enforcement of pay-as-you-throw, of the purple bags. He's always supported the purple bags. He is going to remove from the budget the $120 a year fee for sanitation, which is a very good idea because guess what? It's illegal. It's a violation of 59 Section 21C. But that's another story. And they admitted that the Sanitation Enterprise Fund had been funded in greater than 50% by the city tax dollars, which means the sanitation fee is a tax.
But you mean that Sanitation Enterprise Fund, which was supposed to be self-funding,
Never was.
right? Never was, and not one city official could figure that out in the budget until now when they wanted to get something else.
Right, and the worst part about it
was
is
illegal to do what they did and fund it from the city. So again, we have like the 22 windows.
That's right.
Here we are. We only get the facts that they want. It's a myth. Again, here we are creating more myths. We're going to dazzle you with our numbers, and we're going to dazzle you with our footwork, and it's all, again, BS.
Well, and the great part about it is this. We came out with this BS line how long ago?
Oh, yeah.
And we said it was BS, so again, we were negative. But guess what? Again, we are vilified for the wrong reasons, and then when we're vindicated, no credit for that. But the enforcement is this. On April 22nd, they're going to start the rollout. Waste Zero is going to help them out. On May 9th, they're going to start giving you letters. Copies of those letters are going to go to the property owners. The fines can only be assessed on the trash generator who doesn't use the bags. The fines are $100 for the first time, $200 the second time, $500 for the third. If they can't find somebody, the landlord's already been notified. If your property receives 2 or more violations, they will, or may, I shouldn't say will, they may suspend trash service to that property, and the property owner will have to immediately get private trash hauling. This means that the property owner is now the trash police. Now, I brought up to Kathy Ann Viveris what happens because people throw trash in my private hauler barrels all the time from all over the place. They don't have to use purple bags.
Yeah,
They
join the club.
Right, exactly. They dump it in my trash. I said, how do you handle that? Because they're going to get violated. And, I don't like throwing Ken Pacheco under the bus. He's doing that enough to himself. But he said, that's a cop-out. He goes, this plan works in other cities across the state. Why is Fall River have such a problem with it? I doubt that everywhere people are throwing trash in their barrels and it's not coming from their property. This city is just a city of crybabies. You know what? I'm a crybaby.
Which is not true.
No, it's not.
We actually found bags from trash bags, not town bags, from Somerset and Swansea when I was on the fire department. When I was a captain at Stanley Street, Ladder 5, we were getting an influx of trash bags from Somerset and Swansea because they had
pay-as-you-throw.
They've had pay-as-you-throw for years. And then we had to sift through them. We did our own investigation, sift through them, and we found the names of the people who were throwing bags, and actually some of them were on a fire department. But, I'm not going to pull any punches on that one. I'm always going to be factual. It was some of them were, but some of them weren't. People were coming to the Truesdale Clinic, which is right next door, and walking over and dumping a bag
and we're seeing
in it because we had a lot of barrels at the same. So this is not unique to Fall River.
Right.
People do this all the time, and the fact is, look at. What are you going to do? And I hate that word may. As someone who negotiated contracts, the only word I like is shall, because that means they don't have any choice.
Right.
You may force someone into privatization. What does that mean? Does that mean that if you buy tickets to the mayor's time,
you don't get forced.
You don't get thrown into private.
That's right.
But if you don't, you do.
Right, exactly.
Which is what comes back to what I said. I only buy tickets when they're working for me.
Yep.
So. That's it. If they're not working for me.
Well, and I have one last quote I have to say because I'm going to tell you now this gentleman's quote was amazing, and he clearly said, blank head mayor Jazel Correa is just as dumb and as blank stupid as all the other mayors Fall River has had, and this city is a crap hole, and as long as the dumb blank of this city keep voting for these dumb blanks, nothing will change. Oh, and just so everyone knows, they want to stop street racing, so explain to me why this blank hole mayor is having a Honda Civic built.
Stay angry and watch our special.
Thanks a lot.